So far we've only been testing the models. But we're going to actually go in here and start this. And again, we could break these out into separate files later on, but let's describe, let's call it our API. I'm going to start setting this up. Again, we'll end up seeing that we have an API somewhere. Actually, no, we have to put an it here somewhere. So let's put an it here. And let's actually say that what we're going to end up testing, let's put a describe here. And we're going to say we're going to test a GET request to /API products. And we'll go over here and we'll say it returns the products, which would be reasonable. And right now, how do we end up testing it? Well, let's make an assumption, okay? And what we'll do here is I'm going to assume that I'm going to have some testing mechanism to allow me to make a GET request to /API products. Furthermore, I'm going to assume, well, I'll tell you that this is actually how this is set up, but I'm going to assume that I'm going to end up getting a status back here. I'm sorry, I have this incorrectly. That there's going to be something that I can expect of this, and I'm going to expect a status of 200. Okay? Now, I know that the module that I'm going to use allows me to do this. Right now, I'm going to see app is not defined. I'm going to use a module called Supertest. What I'm going to end up doing with Supertest is that I'm going to end up requiring, and I like to do this in one shot by going over here and saying my app, and I'm going to require Supertest. Supertest basically needs a set of routes. Supertest will spin up its own server. All it needs really is an Express app. It needs a way to basically determine, hey, look, I'm going to set up the server. Express has this pipeline that handles requests, and I'm going to tell Supertest what I want to do is I want to require an app. So Supertest is going to end up needing an Express application. Now, I'm going to run into a couple of problems here. One of them is that I don't have Supertest. Now, I know I'm going to need Supertest. I'm going to install it. This is going to be a dev dependency as well. But I'm also going to need Express. That's not going to be a dev dependency. So I'm going to end up installing that. And I'm going to run into a different problem here. And the problem that I'm going to run into here, npm run test dev. The problem here is going to be a little bit different. The problem here is going to be, hey, look, you know what? I can't find this module app. Now, this is just going to be my Express app. Okay? When I set up a server later on for my application, I'm going to have to do something else. But this is just going to be my Express app. Again, sometimes Mocha doesn't pick up these changes. This is basically just saying, hey, look, there's no app here. There's some property of an Express app called an address, I guess. But I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to bring in Express, and I'm going to create my app, and I'm going to export it. Now, when I end up running this, I'll run into a different problem. It'll say, yeah, I see your app, but all I'm seeing here is a 404. And what we could do here is we could end up bringing in, start setting up our app. We could go over here and say app.get, API products, request, response, next. And what I'm going to end up doing here, if I was just to say response.send hello, my test would end up passing. But really, what I'm expecting to get, and I'm going to end up now bringing, let me bring my modules in here. So this is going to be db equals require /db. And I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say I want to destructure product category. And I want to destructure that from db.models like I did in the other file. And here I really just like to go over here and put in product find all, then products, response.send products. And if there's a catch, I'm going to catch with next over here. And let's take a look. And now it ends up passing, but the other thing that I could also do here, just to make sure it's working, is to go over here to my test, and I can actually look at the response. So what you can end up doing with Supertest, and Supertest is purely made for testing applications. I've only used it for Express. Maybe it works for something else. But I can end up putting a then here. And this gets me the entire response. So it's not only going to be the data from the response. If I console log the response, one of the things that I'll end up seeing here is that I'll see some headers, which I could end up working with, but I'm also seeing the body of my response, which is my JSON data. And what I could end up doing here is I can write an expectation. I could say I expect the response.body.length to equal, and let's just break it for now. We'll say 4. And it'll say, no, it's really 3, because that's the number of products that we ended up seeding with. And now this will end up passing. So that's how you could end up starting to test out your routes. This is a very basic test. The key thing here is that this is not, I'm not listening anywhere here. If I do want to set up my application, there's one more file that I'm going to end up having to add. But I do have my specs written, and I'm able to test this out without ever having to go and open up a browser, which is, I think, pretty powerful.